Can you marry my dad? The words drop into the golden air of the gala like broken glass. For a heartbeat, the music halts, champagne flutes freeze midair, and every eye in the ballroom swivels. The speaker is a little girl in a wheelchair, her voice small but steady. She looks up at the young millionaire, the star of tonight's Grand Masters Gala. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Then laughter erupts, sharp, cruel, eager for scandal. The millionaire bends down, diamonds flashing under the chandelier. Her smile is sweet, but her tone cuts like a knife. Sweetheart, you're disabled. Maybe dream a little smaller. The girl flinches, tears brimming, but her chin lifts with sudden fire. My dad is better than you. He's a master. The room stirs. Whispers chase one another like sparks. Who's her dad? What is she talking about? The millionaire tilts her head, amused. A master, really? Where is this invisible genius? The child doesn't hesitate. Her hand rises, trembling but sure, and points across the hall. Past the tuxedos, the silk gowns, the cameras, toward the shadows. Toward the janitor. He stands with a mop in his hand, gray uniform damp, shoulders bent from work. The bucket squeaks on the polished floor. His eyes flicker toward his daughter, then away, as if he wishes the earth would swallow him. The crowd bursts into laughter again, louder this time. Her father? The janitor? Does he even know the pieces? What a joke. The millionaire straightens, her smirk returning. Your dad? A janitor? She sweeps her gaze over the crowd, playing to her audience. And you think he's better than me? The girl's voice cracks, but holds firm. Yes, better than you. Her father crosses the room quickly, kneels beside her wheelchair, his calloused hand on his daughter's shoulder, his face burning under the spotlight. He bows his head low, voice trembling. I'm sorry for her words. She doesn't understand. But the crowd is circling in now, hungry for blood. Glittering gowns and tuxedos close like a cage. Laughter crackles in every corner. Does he even know how the night moves? One man jeers. This will be fun. Another snickers, raising his phone for a live stream. The girl shakes her head fiercely, her small fists clenched. No, Dad. Don't say sorry. You're not just a janitor. You're more than they think. He hushes her desperately. Enough. Please stop. His eyes beg her to stay silent, but hers blaze with fire. The millionaire leans in, perfume and arrogance dripping from every word. She tilts her head, smiling for the cameras. Tell you what, she says, voice sugar-coated poison. If you win, I'll go on a date with you. Just like your daughter asked. She lets the cruelty settle, then twists the knife. But if you lose, you serve me and my guests all night. Double duty, mopping and fetching drinks until the sun comes up. The crowd howls with laughter. Champagne sloshes. A man shouts, yes. Make him work for it. Another adds, she's giving him a chance. How generous. The janitor stiffens, shame crawling across his face. No, he mutters, shaking his head. I don't want trouble. I'm just a janitor. The millionaire taps her diamond earring, feigning pity. Afraid? Fine. Let's sweeten it. Win this game, and I'll cover your daughter's surgery bills. She says it like charity, like a joke meant to entertain the room. Now what do you say? Still scared. The words land heavy. The daughter's eyes widen, tears pooling, but this time not from pain, this time from hope. She looks at him as if her whole world hangs on his answer. He swallows hard. His hands tremble on the mop handle. Every instinct screams to walk away, to let them laugh, to stay invisible. But her gaze won't let him. Slowly, painfully he lifts his chin. His voice is quiet, but it cuts through the noise. For her, I'll play. The ballroom erupts like an arena. Cheers and jeers crash together. Phones shoot up, streams spike across the internet. A janitor versus a millionaire. This is going to be hilarious. The millionaire glides toward the board with the grace of a queen entering her throne room. She slides into the white chair, her smirk wide, her audience roaring. The janitor walks forward, silent, each step heavy as stone. He pulls out the black chair and sits. His daughter clutches the arm of her wheelchair, whispering, "You can do it, Dad." The millionaire laughs lightly, waving to the crowd. "Don't blink," she says. "This will be over fast." No one doubts her. To them, This is only a joke. Entertainment. None of them knew who he really was. The janitor lowers himself into the chair. His rough hands hover above the polished pieces, trembling only for a moment before steadying. The laughter around him fades into a distant hum. His gaze fixes on the board, and the world slips away. The ballroom dissolves. The chandeliers, the glittering gowns, the cruel whispers, they vanish. In their place, thunder roars, rain smashes against a windshield, and wipers screech in vain. 10 years earlier, his life was a very different board. Back then, he was untouchable. They called him the Black King of Chess. His name filled headlines. Magazine covers carried his smile. Children lined up for autographs. Trophies gleamed behind glass cases, each one proof of brilliance. He played fast, fearless, unpredictable, a storm on 64 squares. Fans roared when his knights leapt like predators, when his sacrifices turned into lightning victories. He wasn't just a player. He was a force. But champions don't get to choose their fate. One night, the rain came hard. He was driving home from a tournament, the trophy on the seat beside him, his wife humming softly in the passenger seat, their little girl asleep in the back. Tires screeched. Glass shattered. Metal screamed. In an instant, everything he loved was torn away. His wife was gone. His daughter's legs crushed, stolen forever. The hospital lights never went out in his memory. White walls, beeping machines, his little girl's cries of pain. Doctors shaking their heads. He sold everything, every medal, every cup, even the trophy he'd won that night, just to keep her alive. The money bled away, and so did the cheers. With each hospital bill came another piece of his former life stripped clean. When the trophies were gone, he sold his suits. When the suits were gone, he sold the chessboards he'd collected since childhood. But grief is a poison, and it found him. Bottles replaced books. His hands shook not from calculation, but from drink. He still tried to compete, but the shame followed him into the arena. Cameras caught him stumbling to his seat, eyes red, his once sharp mind clouded. He played one final match that ended in disaster. He blundered early, pieces falling like broken glass, and the crowd jeered. The media turned on him, from champion to disgrace. The Federation banned him. Sponsors cut him loose. Friends, so many friends, slipped into silence. No one wanted to be seen beside the man who had fallen so far. He worked odd jobs just to survive. Factories, warehouses, until he landed here, mopping floors in the same grand hall where his portrait once hung on the champion's wall. His photo is still there, high above the crowd, dusty and ignored. But no one looks up long enough to see. His beard is thick now, his shoulders bent, his name forgotten. People pass him without a glance, never realizing that the man sweeping their spilled champagne once ruled the chess world. And now, here he sits again, at the table, at the board. The memory fades, replaced by the present roar of the gala. The millionaire smirks across from him, twirling a pawn between manicured fingers, oblivious. To her, this is still a joke, still entertainment for her friends and cameras. But the janitor breathes deep. He reaches out, touches the first piece, and adjusts it with perfect precision, centered exactly on the square. Not sloppy, not random. Exact, deliberate. One guest in the crowd squints, his smile faltering. Wait, he mutters, unease crawling into his voice. The janitor's eyes lift, calm, steady, unreadable. None of them knew the storm that was about to break. I always play first. The millionaire drops into the white chair like a queen claiming her throne. Cameras flash as she winks at the crowd, her diamond earring glittering under the chandelier. It's a family tradition, she adds, lifting her voice for the live streams. The audience laughs and claps, already savoring the spectacle. She doesn't hesitate. Her manicured fingers shove the pawn forward 2 squares. Pawn to e4, she announces, her tone exaggerated, like a teacher scolding a child. Applause ripples. Across from her, the janitor does not move at once. He studies the board with quiet eyes, as though he sees something no one else does. Then, calmly, without a word, he slides his pawn to c5. The Sicilian defense. The room shifts. A murmur rises like smoke. One older man lowers his glass, brow furrowing. That wasn't random, he whispers. But the millionaire leans back, smiling wide, pretending not to notice. Cute, she mocks. He must have seen that in a movie. She slams her knight onto the board with a loud click. Knight to F3, she calls out, turning toward the cameras like she's hosting her own show. The janitor responds in silence. His knight glides forward with precision, landing squarely in its place. No performance, no wasted motion, just calm calculation. At first, the guests laugh at his quiet play. Why doesn't he say anything? One sneers. Another chuckles. Maybe he doesn't even know the names of the pieces. But then something changes. The way he aligns each piece perfectly in the center of its square. The speed of his moves, not rushed, but confident, like he's walking a path he's traveled 1,000 times before. The millionaire drums her nails on the table. Louder now, her smile stretched too tight. She announces every move theatrically, her voice echoing through the hall. Pawn to D3. Bishop to C4. Each word aimed at humiliating him, turning his silence into weakness. But his silence grows heavy. Powerful. Every move he makes is like a stone dropped in water. Quiet at first, but sending ripples through the room. The whispers spread. That's not beginner's play. Those are real lines. Wait, he knows exactly what he's doing. The laughter falters. Glasses lower. Even the reporters lean forward, their cameras focusing tighter. The millionaire notices the change. Her fingers twitch. She plays her next piece with extra force, slamming it down as if volume can cover doubt. But across from her, the janitor never flinches. His hands are steady, his eyes unshaken. Every move he makes chips away at the room's certainty. The board is still in its opening stage, pieces barely developed, but the air has shifted. The tension is no longer playful. It's something else, something no one expected. And for the first time, a question hangs in the glittering silence. Who exactly is this man? You really think you can scare me with that? The millionaire slams her queen forward with a loud clack, flashing a grin to her audience. Cameras catch every angle. She leans back in her chair, basking in her own showmanship. But the janitor doesn't even blink. His hand moves instantly, knight sweeping out like a shadowed predator. The board shifts, quiet but dangerous. The crowd murmurs. That wasn't hesitation. That was precision. At first, her moves are loud, reckless, like someone throwing punches just to hear the sound. She laughs with each piece she drops, announcing every move as if the game were already hers. Bishop takes pawn, she crows, slamming the piece onto the wood. See? Easy. The janitor answers in silence, calm, measured. His pawns march forward slowly, soldiers in formation, building an invisible wall around his king. His eyes never leave the board. His breathing is steady. Every move is exact, as though he's been here before. The guests lean in. Laughter softens into whispers. One older man squints, his hand frozen on a glass of whiskey. Wait, that's a counterplay. That's deliberate. Still, the millionaire plays recklessly, chasing glory. She lunges with her knight, grinning wide, but he doesn't retreat. Instead, he slides a pawn forward, sacrificing it. Gasps break the air. He blundered, a guest sneers. Amateur mistake. She pounces, snatching the pawn, already savoring her triumph. But then his rook sweeps across the board like a blade, trapping her knight in a cage. Her smile falters. The whispers grow. That wasn't random, he planned that. The tension rises. She forces a laugh, slamming her queen into action, trying to drown her nerves with noise. But he answers again with silence. Bishop gliding diagonally, slicing through her defense with surgical calm. One guest mutters, "That's advanced play. No beginner knows that." Another leans closer, eyes narrowing. Who is this man? Her smile cracks. For the first time, her fingers hesitate above the board. She chews her lip, tapping the table. The crowd sees it, the mask slipping. Across from her, the janitor adjusts a piece with careful precision, aligning it perfectly in its square. Then his rook surges forward, cutting the board in half. Her army is suddenly split, her queen trapped on the wrong side. A low gasp spreads like fire through the hall. She tries to play it off, forcing a laugh. Oh, lucky move. But her voice trembles. The janitor doesn't respond. His silence is louder than any insult. He leans in, eyes locked on the board, and with one swift motion, his knight leaps again, this time pinning her bishop to the king. A deadly fork. The ballroom freezes. Champagne glasses lower. Reporters glance at each other, disbelief etched on their faces. The millionaire's hands shake as she grips her queen. Her arrogance, her laughter, her stage performance. Suddenly it all feels thin, fragile. And the crowd knows it. This is no joke match anymore. Something about his play is terrifyingly real. Check. You think you can check me? The millionaire's laugh rings too loudly, bouncing off the marble walls. But her fingers betray her, tapping against the queen she clutches like a lifeline. She leans forward, slams her rook across the board, and forces a trade, desperate to break free of the invisible cage tightening around her king. The janitor doesn't flinch. His move comes instantly, a bishop slicing diagonally like a blade through silk. The trap tightens. The room feels it before she does. Gasps ripple. Someone whispers, "He's setting something up." Another shakes his head in disbelief. No, this is too precise. She pushes her knight forward recklessly, announcing it loudly, too loudly, like a performer covering a mistake. Knight to G5. She flashes a smile at the cameras, but no one laughs now. The janitor's eyes narrow. His knight leaps in response, not defensively, but with purpose, a predator pouncing. The move forks her rook and queen. The crowd exhales as one. Her painted smile shatters. That was luck, she insists, scrambling for words as her fingers hover above the queen. No, murmurs an older guest, shaking his head slowly. That was a real game. The game shifts into something darker, heavier. Every move is a cut, every silence a wound. Her voice grows shrill as she announces each play, her pieces crashing onto the board. His replies remain quiet, fluid, merciless. She tries to strike back, lunging with her queen, but he sacrifices a pawn deliberately, almost carelessly, then springs the trap. His rook sweeps down the open file, slamming into position with deadly clarity. Her queen is boxed, her army tangled. A murmur builds, not laughter anymore, but awe. He baited her. He wanted that pawn taken. The millionaire stares, panic rising behind her eyes. She shoves another piece, but it's clumsy now, forced. He responds instantly, bishop sliding into the heart of her defenses. The board is his battlefield, and every soldier marches in perfect formation. The room leans in. Phones lower as people forget the live stream. They're no longer watching for humor. They're watching history. Her king is sweating under attack. Pawns crumble, rooks fall back. Every attempt she makes to escape is met by his quiet, devastating precision. Finally, he looks up just once. His eyes meet hers. Calm, steady, and then he moves. His queen slides across the board with surgical grace, pinning her king against its own pawn structure. Check. The ballroom freezes. You could hear a pin drop. She fumbles, pushes her rook forward, trying to block. He doesn't hesitate. His knight leaps, cutting off her last escape. Her hands tremble. She glances at the crowd, searching for support, for someone to laugh again, but no one does. They're staring at her now, not with admiration, but pity. The janitor leans in, almost whispering his final move. His rook swings across the back rank, locking her king in a perfect net. The last square was sealed. Checkmate. Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. The millionaire stares at the board, her face pale, lips trembling. Her king has nowhere left to run. All the diamonds, all the laughter, all the arrogance, crushed by a man they mocked only minutes ago. One voice breaks the silence. My God, he destroyed her. The crowd erupts, not with laughter, but with stunned disbelief, gasps, whispers, the scrape of chairs as people rise to their feet. Cameras snap wildly, but the angle has changed. No longer on her smile, but on his hands. On the janitor who has just dismantled her pride in front of the world. Her hand hovers above her fallen king, shaking. She tries to speak, but no words come. And across from her, the janitor simply folds his hands, silent as ever. The underdog has spoken without a single boast, through the perfect language of checkmate. Who is he? The millionaire's voice trembles, eyes darting from the board to the faces around her. For the first time all night, the cameras are no longer pointed at her. Every lens, every phone, every gaze is locked on the man she mocked. The janitor sits quietly, his hands folded in his lap, eyes lowered as if none of this belongs to him. But the board in front of him tells another story. A king trapped, a queen cornered, an empire crumbled. Whispers ripple through the crowd. That wasn't luck. No amateur plays like that. I've seen that style before. An older guest, a retired tournament player, pushes forward through the circle. His face pales as his eyes study the position, then the man behind it. He points, his voice breaking. I know him. 10 years ago, they called him the Black King of Chess. Gasps explode across the hall. The name echoes off the chandeliers. Guests lean to one another wide-eyed. It can't be. I thought he disappeared. He was banned, wasn't he? The millionaire shakes her head violently, refusing the truth. No, that's impossible. He's a janitor. Just a janitor. But the panic in her voice betrays her. The retired player steps closer, almost reverent now. I watched you play Kasparov's defense in the World Series qualifier. I saw you sacrifice that rook in Berlin. I would never forget that. It's him. The crowd erupts. Phones shake as people scramble to record every second. In the chat feeds, comments flood in. This man is a legend. She just got destroyed by a world contender. The little girl's face lights up with tears of pride. She claps her hands together, voice breaking. I told you my dad is the best. Her father finally looks up. His eyes sweep the room, calm but tired, carrying years of battles no one here ever saw. He doesn't speak, but he doesn't need to. The millionaire staggers back from the board, her chair screeching against the marble. No, this was rigged. Someone trained him just to humiliate me. She clutches at her diamond necklace, searching for excuses for escape. But a voice cuts her down, firm, undeniable. A respected politician rises from her seat near the back, her tone sharp as steel. Stop embarrassing yourself. That man didn't just win a game. He dismantled you with mastery. The only humiliation here is your arrogance. The silence that follows is deafening. All her power, all her status, crumbles with the weight of those words. The crowd's whispers shift, no longer mocking but reverent. Respect begins to swell, not for her, but for him. The janitor adjusts a single piece on the board, centering it with deliberate care. That small gesture, precise and calm, speaks louder than any speech. And the realization crashes over the room like a wave. They hadn't just witnessed a game. They had witnessed a resurrection. The man they mocked as a janitor was, in truth, a forgotten champion. And now, the world knows. Checkmate by a janitor. This will break the internet. The whisper shoots across the gala as cameras zoom, flashes explode, and live stream chats flood with disbelief. Within minutes, the clip spreads. Millionaire humiliated at her own chess gala. Phones buzz in pockets as the story leaps beyond the ballroom. The millionaire sits frozen, her diamonds glittering like chains, not trophies. Her once perfect smile is gone, replaced by trembling lips and wide, panicked eyes. Every guest who once laughed with her now looks at her with something colder, judgment. Meanwhile, the janitor rises slowly, his movements humble, almost reluctant. He doesn't bask in the moment. He simply places the chair back under the table, as though he's finishing another day's work. But the silence that follows him is different now, thick with respect. The little girl wheels closer, her voice breaking with joy. Dad, you did it. She clutches his arm, tears glistening in her eyes. For her, this was never about pride. It was hope, a surgery, a future. A powerful voice cuts through the stunned room. The politician who had defended him earlier steps forward, her eyes blazing. Tonight, arrogance lost, and the world just rediscovered a champion. She turns to the millionaire, her words sharp as a blade. You thought humiliation was entertainment, but what you've done is reveal your own emptiness. Gasps ripple. The crowd begins to shift, no longer circling the millionaire like moths to her flame, but gathering around the man she mocked. Guests approach hesitantly, offering handshakes, apologies, even business cards. The media frenzy erupts. Reporters shove microphones forward. What's your name? Where have you been all these years? Is it true you once held the title Black King of Chess? But he says little. Only, I was never gone. Just forgotten. That humility strikes harder than any boast. The audience sees it. The contrast between his quiet strength and her loud collapse. The millionaire lashes out in desperation. You're all fools. He's just a janitor. Her voice cracks, desperate, drowned by the wave of murmurs and camera clicks. She stands, but no one stands with her. Her empire of admiration dissolves into empty space. The janitor kneels by his daughter's wheelchair, whispering, "It's over, baby." She nods, smiling through tears. And then, the ultimate reversal. An investor, one of her closest allies, steps forward and ignores her completely. He looks at the janitor instead. "Sir, if you're willing, I'd like to sponsor your daughter's treatment." The room erupts in applause. The very thing she used as a cruel bet, her mockery of a sick child, becomes the reason this father is lifted up and honored. The millionaire staggers back, her face pale. She realizes too late that her power was never real. It was borrowed, fragile, built on cruelty, and now it lies shattered at her feet. The janitor takes his daughter's hand. He doesn't gloat. He doesn't even look at the woman who tried to humiliate him. He simply whispers to his girl, "Let's go home." As they leave the hall, the crowd parts like a tide. Phones capture every step. Reporters shout his name, not hers. And in that moment, the reversal is complete. The janitor is no longer invisible. He is a champion reborn. The millionaire is no longer untouchable. She is the punchline of her own downfall. True greatness isn't measured by wealth, or titles, or glittering diamonds. It's measured by dignity, the quiet strength to endure humiliation, the patience to rise without hatred, and the courage to protect what matters most. Tonight proved that respect cannot be bought, but it can be earned through character. A janitor reminded the world that real power lies not in mocking others, but in lifting them. And if this story touched you, if it made you believe that dignity will always rise above arrogance, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Because there are many more stories like this, stories that prove humility can humble the proud, and that true greatness can come from the most unexpected places.